Hi, Emma Shepherd from the AI Advantage Academy, and welcome to this month's AI Innovator Spotlight. You'll notice there's something slightly different about this month's Spotlight, and that is the fact that I am going to be talking about myself and about the AI Advantage Academy. The real reason for that is the person that was going to do it was unable to make it, and I did try and get some last minute fillers to take the space, but unfortunately they were unable to do it too. So I thought, why not jump on and talk about the AI Advantage Academy? Also, because it is going to be my birthday tomorrow and I am turning 55. And there's quite a funny story attached to that I thought actually it's quite pertinent that I should jump on today and talk about the AI Advantage Academy. So when I was about 18 or 19 years old, we had somebody come around the organization I was working in at the time and ask us about our pensions. And we bought into some pension policies. And one of the questions that they asked was, what age do we want to retire? And I remember there as a naive and innocent 18-year-old girl saying, I'm not going to work past the age of 55. And here I am at the age of 55. And actually 2 years ago, I launched a brand new business in the world of AI. So I just thought that was really funny. And I must say, I think the age of 50 in my 50s is the absolutely perfect time for me to start and to run a business. My children are now grown, they've left the nest, and empty nest syndrome is a reality. And I did really start to feel that space starting to be created as they grew up and they became their own people, which is obviously the goal of parenting, but it also did highlight to me that I did have much more time on my hands. So it's been an absolutely perfect time in my life to start a business and to be able to really focus on it while the children are starting to live their lives. So what happened after the age of 18, 19? Well, I got into the world of PR and media and I had a fantastic career. Absolutely loved it. Such a hedonistic time, I think, if you worked in media in the 90s. And I worked with some fantastic organizations. But things started to change. My value system started to change around the time I had my first child. So I was 28 when I had my first child. And I was working at a fantastic agency called Elizabeth Hindmarch PR. And it was run by a wonderful lady called Elizabeth Hindmarch, who was one of the best female leaders I have ever worked for. She's the auntie of Anya Hindmarch, the celebrity handbag maker. And we always used to be in awe of the handbags that Elizabeth would bring to the work do. She had a very, very different background to me, but she was hugely supportive. And one of the most supportive things she ever did for me as a woman was after I had my daughter, I thought I'd want to go straight back to work. And I did find it quite difficult, actually, after I had my first daughter, to kind of come down off this hedonistic lifestyle of PR and become a full-time mum. Huge change, a huge change. And I thought I was going to go back to work full-time. But actually, as I settled into the role of being a mum and actually realised I loved it, I approached Elizabeth with the idea of going part-time. Now, it had never been done before. This was the early 2000s. And I know that people before me in the agency had requested it. And understandably, anybody who's worked in agency, you will understand that it's really difficult in an agency when you are working with clients to have somebody that only works 3 days a week. I approached Elizabeth and she thought about it and she came back and she actually said to me, Emma, I'm going to let you do it. Please don't let me down. And I worked really, really hard and I was forever grateful for that opportunity because I felt as a mum and as a woman, being able to be there with my children and also to continue working was a fantastic combination. I felt fulfilled in all areas and it was a brilliant time of my life. However, I went on to have a couple more children and it became financially unviable for me to continue working. So I took a step away from work. And I started to think about what I wanted to do next. And this coincided with the time that I became a Christian as well. So I was really reevaluating my values and what I thought success was going to be like for me. And around the age, my early 30s, I sat down and I started to think about what success really meant for me. So as a mum now of 3 children, and I had heard lots of stories about old people actually on their deathbeds. This sounds a bit morbid, but it's really important, who had been talking about some of their regrets. And quite a lot of older people had regretted maybe working too much and spending too much time at work. So I really started to think about that because I loved my job and I loved working in the world of PR and marketing. And I started to think about, okay, let's fast forward to when I'm 80 and I'm actually laying on my deathbed, which sounds really morbid, but it really helped me to clarify what I think success is. And I started to think about, okay, if I'm 80 and I'm laying on my deathbed, let's say it's a bit longer than that. If I'm laying on my deathbed, there's no way I'm going to be getting my business cards out and talking to my kids about my promotion or my job titles or how much money I earn in the corporate world. I knew they were not going to be the important conversations at the end of my life. What I did want is I wanted to have children around my bedside that I loved, that loved me, and that we could talk about the wonderful memories that we had created over the years. And that really helped me to think back, okay, if that's what I want to achieve, if that's my idea of success, what do I need to do today to enable me to achieve that? And it became apparent that actually not making decisions based purely on money is going to be a fundamental part of that, which is actually quite scary because I had always made decisions on the career, on the job promotion, on how much money I was going to earn. And that completely changed. So as a result of that, I'd stepped out of the corporate world, away from my career. And I decided to try and give contracting a go. So I could work 2 to 3 days a week, but I could also flex the hours. So I wouldn't be going into an office. Just as I made that decision, I got offered the dream job. Job got put on the table. It was 3 days a week. It was on the board and I could leave to do the school run. And it sounded amazing. It sounded absolutely fantastic. But actually I went home and I thought about it and I sat down and I thought, okay, you don't want to make decisions based on money. You want to make decisions based on how much time you can spend with your children. Be realistic. This is the world of PR and marketing in an agency, and comes 3 o'clock and you have to go and pick up your child, but something has hit the national newspapers on one of your clients. That's not going to be possible. That's going to create so much stress, and that stress will ultimately be projected onto your children. So I came in the next day and I said to the person that offered me the job, actually, I'm going to say no. They couldn't believe it. They absolutely couldn't believe it. But I was so certain about what success was going to look like for me. It made that decision really easy. So I turned that down. I lost all contracts. I didn't work for about a month. I was married. My husband at the time was bringing in money. And it was a really, really scary time for me. And then a chance meeting in town with somebody that I'd worked at before opened the door to my first substantial freelance contract. That was with Weight Watchers Snacks way back then. And I was able to start contracting and to work around my children while I was raising them. So that was a huge benefit for me. And I'm super glad I did it, because as the children got older, just spending time with them, some of the things that my children say to me now when they look back at that time is, you know, Mum, we never, ever thought that you wouldn't be there to pick us up from school. We never thought that you wouldn't be able to drop us to school. We just never thought that you wouldn't be there. And I think some of the most special times with my children were when they came home from school and they were trying to emotionally process some of the stuff that happened. School can be brutal, right? Friendships can be brutal. Teachers can be brutal. You know, it can be really, really hard. So to be able to pick my children up, to be able to help them to figure out what was happening at school, build that emotional intelligence that I can see in them today, was such a blessing to me to be able to do that. And that, you know, that season of my life didn't last forever. Obviously, I didn't have that much money. I actually ended up getting divorced when the children were stood at school. So money was very, very tight. And actually, it was so tight. There was a point in my life where the only clothes I could afford were from the pound rail at my local charity shop. And it didn't matter to me. It didn't matter to me because I was with my kids and I was doing what I knew to be successful and what was going to bring me the success. And obviously, as the children grew older, that I started to have a bit more time, and I was able to work more, earn a bit more money. And actually, when COVID hit, I eventually went back into full-time work because obviously COVID went on for a long time. I was contracting. I was in the health and fitness industry. Boris shut all the gyms, etc. The pipeline dried up for a lot of my clients. So I jumped ship and I went and I worked full-time. And it was really kind of, I guess, about 3 years ago that I started to realize that AI was going to be big. It started to infiltrate into some of the SaaS providers I was using in the role that I was in at the moment. And it was very clear that it was going to be huge. Now, I was old enough to experience the World Wide Web and what a catastrophic shift in the way that we worked that was. And I was actually, it was when I'd stepped out of the career ladder that started to happen. So I knew AI was going to be massive. and nobody seemed to be waking up to the idea. And I had an incredible opportunity to leave the job I was in and to be able to spend some time learning AI. And I took a year out of working full time studying AI. I mean, I went down so many rabbit holes because it's such a huge subject. It's been around since the 1950s. I wanted to really understand what this AI was all about. I mean, I was watching YouTubes about JSON coding, writing code. I went down some real rabbit holes, but I wanted to do that because what I wanted to do is to really understand, okay, what does this mean for businesses? Because we're not computer programmers, we're not all techie, but it is going to revolutionize the way we work. And so what I was able to do at that time was do exactly that. Now, my background is business, it's not tech. And I did get asked actually, oh, how long have you been in tech? And I was like, I don't consider myself to be in tech. I still consider myself to be in AR. Still consider myself to be majority a business person. So I never really classed myself as somebody in tech. I guess if I was building the AI machines, then I would. But I realized at the time, as I went through that year, I was piecemealing and learning different aspects of not just AI, but actually also business. And I started to realize there was no training courses out there for people like me that had been in very busy jobs that didn't have any bandwidth in terms of being able to learn AI. And that there was a need for training courses out there that would take a business owner from, okay, demystifying what AI was, and then taking them through steps to integrating AI safely and effectively. And that is when I developed my proprietary 8 critical pillars of AI integration, which is the foundation of all my training courses today. And what that did was take professionals from exactly that. And for the first year of my business, I joined forces with Steve Bully from the Skills and Business Hub and Growth Academy Berkshire, and we landed the first ever AI skills bootcamp for business. And we ran that, I think that was, I'd have to check back, but that's a long, long time ago now. We took the first cohort through this brand new AI for business training course, and it went so well, and everybody was really blown away. I deliberately took a step away from AI tools. I knew I was never going to create a course on this is the latest AI tool, because if you actually look at that, that is going to be literally impossible to keep up with. There are people that do it, and that's purely what they do. They won't necessarily tell you how to integrate that into business. What they'll do is they'll say, this is the latest AI tool, this is how to use it. I knew I didn't want to do that. I wanted to talk about, okay, how can AI integrate into your business, whether you are a solopreneur or whether you are the leader of a larger enterprise, what difference is it going to make to your business? That's what I wanted to focus on. And that's why I developed the training course. Very, very interesting, because although that was 3 years ago when I started to do this, and I started to have those initial conversations with people, and some of those conversations, people would say to me, I am way too busy to learn about AI, I'm not interested. It was just too soon for people. People just didn't realize what the impact would be. And I only really think over the next 12 to 18 months, our enterprise is really going to start taking the integration very, very seriously in terms of AI integration. So a lot of people ask me what makes the AI Advantage Academy so different to other training courses, training providers. Well, the first thing is I am predominantly a business person. So I am all about growing businesses. And so my AI training very much focuses on how can businesses integrate AI to help them grow. So that is the angle. It is not a tool-based program. In fact, some people that have come on my training courses, as a result of the training course, end up using AI less because they realize that they are delegating too much of their thinking to AI, and they're actually losing some of their core skills. So I don't approach it from an AI tool. I approach it from a set of tried and tested frameworks, strategies, and processes that enable businesses to identify where AI can be used safely and effectively, and the steps they need to do to integrate that. The other thing is that I am completely independent. So a lot of the AI tools use marketing affiliation to advertise their tools. What does that mean? They get influencers to talk about how great the AI tool is. And obviously, unless you realize that it's marketing affiliation, you wouldn't have a clue that they're actually getting paid by that tool to talk about it. So I don't do that. I use ChatGPT just because it's the first one I use, and I love it. I don't think it's any different to any of the others. And I always say there's not enough difference between any of these AI tools for you to keep jumping around, and actually you're just going to stress yourselves out. They're very, very similar. Now, don't get me wrong, Claude might launch something and it pushes them ahead a little bit, but then before long, ChatGPT have launched something that brings them up to speed. So I am tool agnostic. I talk about processes, frameworks, and how you can identify actually what tools you need in your business, and you can make your own decisions. The other thing I concentrate on is sovereign capability. As a result, in my training course, I hope that you don't need my training anymore. And that's the point of the training, is to build that sovereign capability. This is not something that you can keep outsourcing to an agency, to an external coach or an external provider. You don't want a long-term relationship. You want to learn it and then to carry on learning yourself, and to have that continuous learning mindset so that you do not rely on agencies and coaches for that long-term relationship. Learn what you need to learn, develop your own training program, and then you will develop that really important sovereign capability. And that's relevant whether you're a solopreneur or whether you are the leader of a huge enterprise. The other thing that I really wanted to do is make sure that my training courses are accredited by a third-party organization. So I use the CPD Standards Office. They review my teaching materials, they review my videos, and they award CPD points. So I want to make sure that people are absolutely assured that the training courses they do are accredited by CPD. There are some CPD accrediting organizations out there which I chose not to go with, because I wanted to go with a credible CPD organization, and CPD Standards Office is a very credible organization. I also went to BSI, and I am a certified ISO 42001 implementer and auditor. Again, the ISO 42001 was developed out of the EU AI Act, which is the only global law at the moment relating to AI. That may well change in the future. I'm sure we will see a lot more laws and regulations coming in once we're over this innovation hump, which the UK needs to get over to catch up with. So I am certified in the ISO 42001. So what that means is that my training courses are completely aligned with the ISO 42001, which means that as an organization, if the laws do come in, you're going to be ahead of the game, and you're going to be able to implement any laws and legal regulations, etc., because the training courses will teach you exactly what you need to do to get ready for that. So I do get concerns about how many AI trainers are coming onto the market. There are people that think they can create a curriculum on AI and then they can create an AI training course. None of my training course curriculums have been created by AI. They have been created, and you can look at my learning pathway on my LinkedIn. They have been created by me identifying what a business needs, and then to understand exactly how I can teach that to people. So I have a learning pathway that actually matches what I'm teaching. And that's something you really need to look out for. Look at the credibility of the AI trainers, look at their background, look at their own qualifications, because we are seeing a huge amount of people coming on claiming to be AI trainers when actually they're not. Also, the difference with AI training with something like Copilot, again, you've got people with a technical background coming on and telling you about the features and benefits. What you need is somebody from a business background who can come on and talk to you about how to identify in your business, in your team, in your organization, exactly where you should be integrating AI. So that is a little bit about me, and a little bit about the AI Advantage Academy. Please head over to my website, www.aiadvantageacademy.co.uk, and have a look at the latest training courses I have. I've also got some customer testimonials on there that talk about the experiences that people have had, the benefits that they found from the training. And yeah, I just want to close by saying that launching a business in my 50s has been one of the best experiences I've ever had. I have achieved success. My children are my success story. So I am in a wonderful position in life where I have the time, I still have the energy, I still keep fit, I still look after myself. And I do honestly think that the 50s for me has been the perfect time for me to set up a business. And I love the community of business owners out there. I love how we support each other, we champion each other, we want people to succeed. And I think it's been a wonderful opportunity to me, and I'm looking forward to continue working for as long as I can, because honestly, it doesn't feel like work. I love what I do so much. I don't actually feel like I'm working. So although I didn't retire at 55, I do feel that my dreams have come true in so many other ways. So if you haven't already, please do connect with me on LinkedIn or email me. I'd love to catch up with you and have a chat about your own AI journey and to see if I can help you.